Is that an intro or is that an intro? I mean, let's just call it that. That is. I love the way that turned out. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Wild West podcast. My name is Richie Riche. I am now owner and founder of the Toops and Touchdowns YouTube channel. However, also directly affiliated with the Orange and Blue Network. So I am on both platforms. Another thing, guys, I hope you don't mind, I just want to quickly give a quick plug. Orange and Blue Network just released a new website, orangeandbluenetwork.com. That's orangeandbluenetwork.com. You'll see my ugly mug in cartoon form on the show host page there as well, representing the Wild West podcast on the website there. You'll also get to see some of my written content, because who doesn't want the Queen's English to be posted on the internet more? And I'm going to be having some stuff posted on there for the network as well. I just want to thank Mile High Viking, a.k.a. Johnny Baki, for setting all that up, and Broncos Tiz, who's another member of the network there, for creating the website. It's pretty solid. And guys, I'm going to have a bit of a cheat code. I'm just forewarning both of you. Broncos Tiz created a Broncos 53-man roster creation tool for the network, like online, so that we can actually build out the 53-man roster. So I will unfortunately have a visual advantage in how I create the 53-man rosters, just because I have a bit of a cheat code in creating it, because it's a pretty solid tool. So I'm sorry, what?
Yeah.
Hey, Lawrence, I don't know where to start with the comment, because to me it would be, one, that's concerning, and two, I would kind of do the second part before the first part. I would kind of argue priorities there, but that's just me. Anyways, I hope you're doing okay, and I hope whatever's ailing you is quickly resolved. So look, we might be rivals on the pitch, but there is no sense, and I have to say that's an evil proposition to wish ill on another individual. It just doesn't make any sense. So I really hope you get better soon, my man.
Get your ass to the doctor. Get the shower.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yes. exactly that. So Rebel and DZ, how are we doing today?
Rebel, you can go first.
I'm doing pretty good. I think we're kind of right about where we're expected. Everything's kind of, gel and come together. So, it's
you're on the road, right?
Going to be a long process. Yeah, I'm in Houston. I just got here a couple hours ago. So we'll be able to see the boys live tomorrow on ESPN. So, yeah, we'll have all kinds of.
I think I heard Houston's not going to play their starters like they planned. Did you hear that?
I don't know if they're going to play their starters after the joint practice. I really don't know why they would need to play their starters. I mean, they, from what I heard, just mopped the floor with us, and it wasn't even close. So yeah, we got a long way to go. we'll talk about that, get into that. But yeah, joint practice wasn't good, and I drove 9 hours to maybe sitting mid. Yeah, I already knew what I was expecting.
It's a dedicated Raiders fan.
It's all about the experience. So I get to take my kid to his first Raider game at 25. So yeah.
Well, I mean, hopefully, I'm sure that DZ is going to give us some commentary that's just right down the center. Somewhere up the middle, he'll be giving us some additional information about his Chargers for sure.
But do you want to talk the good or the bad first?
Well, I figured I just kind of throw some.
We're gonna rip this Band-Aid off right now.
Yeah, I figured I'd just toss it out there.
Softball.
or limp out a take. But either way,
Richie, I don't know, man. I don't know how this happens again.
Yeah,
Like it's
this is almost deja vu at this point. It's
that
got to
meme.
be.
It's
Yeah,
the Bill
yeah,
Murray meme. It's
yeah.
it's Groundhog Day again. That's exactly what just happened at the joint practice with the Raiders. And I don't know if the Raiders brought their substation down or what, but it wasn't just one. I think there was three or four guys that got hurt for the Chargers. But which is new? I mean, as division opponents or whatever, looking from the outside in, you're like, it's the same. It happens every year. But no, on a more serious note, lost our center for what looks like the season. Tyler Biotish signed a 3-year, $30 million deal and had our left tackle or left guard, Coyote Awashika, as I like to call him, Coyote Kawasaki, decided to throw a Niner D lineman right into the back of his legs laterally. Like, if you guys should just see the video, but it was bad. It was almost cartoonish the way that Biotis jumped up and like fell backwards. Just while he's in the air, he's grabbing his leg, and it's just it's sickening. It's so sickening, and you can point fingers everywhere, right? So if you zoom in right away, what the left guard did was just the dumbest thing you could do as an NFL player. This is a joint practice. I'm pretty sure they weren't allowing anybody to go to the ground in these joint practices. And he he was just doing too much. He threw the guy laterally, right? Like, there's so much chaos going on. He threw him laterally. He didn't just let him just go by, because there was a lot of times I watched a bunch of these highlights and lowlights, and a lot of the times when the O-linemen were getting beat, what they do is they just give up, because that's what you do in these types of practices or whatever. You give up, and then the defender will run by and tap the quarterback, and just go, do something like that. So now if I zoom out a little bit more, why did he do this? Well, let's look at this. This is my perspective, and this is a guy that they picked up from the Detroit Lions he was a depth piece. He wasn't supposed to start for them. He was a break glass in case of emergency type of guy. We lost that guy last year, Sawyer, who also, by the way, just had a season-ending injury, I think like 2 weeks ago, so he's done for the season. I think he was with the Dolphins, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not 100 on that. Anyways, so they got this guy, right? And I think they got him for like a 1-year, $10 million deal, something like that. And from the get-go, everybody's like, okay, that's going to be our starter at left guard, because under the Shanahan-style system, they don't really value guards, right? That's what we've been told. So what the Chargers did is they were like, we're going to go into this season with a 3-headed monster on the O-line, 2 tackles, and a center. And, and then they're just going to fill it out with the guards. Well, I look out, and I'm like, what they did is not only they say, okay, this isn't just your shot, they put him in a competition now with multiple other guys, with not just 2, 3, 5 other guys. They put him in a freaking competition. So now he's out there thinking he needs to prove a point in a joint practice. And
Biotic.
No, Coyote. I was
Coyote.
The guy who
yes.
threw the D lineman.
Yes.
Just way too extra. But ultimately, who I blame is, I can point fingers at that player, which was stupid and dumb to do what he did. But I blame the GM. I blame Ortiz. The Chargers had, I think, this whole offseason we were talking about cap money, cap space, and all this stuff. I remember the Raiders had a ton. Chargers had a lot. Well, there were plenty. I think I wrote down their names. there was like 6 offensive guards available, and they didn't offer, I think, 5 of those. And we know that for a fact because an ex-Charger D lineman contacted these guys, and they said, no, the Chargers never offered me, didn't offer my agent. So the Chargers purposely went out, and I hate saying this, but they went out and they cheaped it up in the guard spot with the vets. And who's to say, I'm not saying this would have happened, this wouldn't have happened with another guard, but usually when you're getting a good guard in there, they're not doing things like that, right? They're not throwing guys to the ground, in a joint practice or anything like that. If the only time I see people throwing anybody to the ground, it's usually those one-on-one drills, like who's got the bigger balls kind of thing. It's usually the tackles versus the edge kind of guys. And that's the only, I'm like, okay, that's fine, but not in this drill. So anyways, we lost our center, and, he was a projected top 10 center this year. We talked about it, like everybody in the division, Creed Humphrey, Whataburger. And
It's
then
actually Wattenberg, but I have poisoned the well. It is Whataburger to anyone that listens to the show.
And then Tyler Linderbaum with the
Yes.
Raiders. And now what the Chargers are going to do is they're going to have to rely on a rookie center who, I mean, he looks like he's got a great future in the NFL, but, man, you're throwing him in the fire this year. You are going to throw him in the fire, and it doesn't make me feel all warm and fuzzy inside. And also, news alert, Slater hasn't practiced in like 8 days, and Jim does his coach speak, and supposedly he's practicing this weekend. We'll see. But, yeah, man. Remember, I think it was last week I was talking about that little chart I had where I was like, oh, we're like right here. It's almost pegging over. It's sickening, man. And I did some like research, and I'll get off this subject, but I was like, man, when was the last time the Chargers had like a healthy O-line? And it was probably 2018 was the last time they had a healthy offensive line. They had only like 1 injury on that line. And then 2021, they had a better O-line, but they had like 2 injuries on that line.
I was going to say 2021, isn't that
that was Slater's rookie year too, who did really well.
The year that they didn't even kick the field goal?
Yeah. So, yeah, man, I think the Bolt fam, we're all sick right now. We are just disgusted because it always seems to happen to the best players. It's never the backup players. It's never the 2s, the 3s, or the depth guys. It's always our top players, man. It's horrible, and I'm upset about it because the Spiotish guy, he was killing it in camp, man. So,
is the dude that hurt the guy your center hurt, was he a starter, or is he just a backup fighting for a job?
So he's the projected starter at left guard.
Oh, so he didn't have nothing to prove. He's just going out there.
Well, guess what? You would think
you got to like the intensity, but you can't.
You would think Rebel, but they put him in a position. This is just me as a fanalist, right? This is how I'm looking at it. They put him in a position where it's like, all right, like show us what you got, so you don't have to continue to compete for this job. Like cement this. You know what I mean? Like because they're like, well, Awashika looks really good, but Branson Taylor, but Jake Slaughter, all at left guard, and it's like, dude, figure it out. And Jim's like running this whole competition. He's like, well, it'll be 10 practices in, and then he says, I'm not close to making a decision. It's just I don't know, man.
So really I have some interesting stats here for you, DZ. You asked a question, and I got curious, so I had to find the actual answer.
Rock and roll.
The Chargers have never had a single season in modern NFL history where all 5 of their opening day starting offensive linemen have stayed healthy or fully healthy and started every game together. They've not had a single season.
Look, man, that tracks.
Okay, so that's number one. Number two, the closest the team has ever come in the modern era was the 2006 NFL season.
That was
during
a good O-line.
during the legendary 14-2. I mean, that was a great team, right?
That was
Like
Nick Hardwick.
here.
Yeah,
So you had McNeil, Dillman, Hardwick, and Shane Olivier. Olivier, sorry, whatever. I'm going to mispronounce the name. It's just not my team. But again, like they started 16 games, and Mike Goff was the only one that missed time on that offensive line.
Yeah, that was a good O-line, man.
But
that was a good
14. No, but look at what that meant for your team. 14-2.
Yeah,
look at what having that cohesiveness.
You know what they did that next year? You know what they did that? They fired Marty Schottenheimer that year. Marty Schottenheimer went 14-2, and that GM or the owner, whoever, fired him for it. Like afterwards, I was like, "You're like, what? Who does that?"
Yeah.
Like Chargers do, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
So, I was intrigued. I had to look it up because my mental math on it was I actually had like an over/under in my own head saying I don't think they've ever done it. I don't think they've ever stayed healthy.
And this isn't to like distract for anything. Justin Herbert came in to the league, I think in 2020, I believe. COVID, I want to say. He hasn't had a solid O-line the whole time, man. And I'm just like, and this was the year I was like, oh, okay. Well, look, we'll see what Mike can do because I know that this scheme, they can work some magic. But, dude, I see what the schedule is. I know what's going on. And right now, it's going to be like if you do get Slaughter, it's going to be Slaughter coming off a major injury, Coyote, rookie, another dude, Cole Strange, this will be his second year coming off the same injury Slater got, and then Joel, who he's the golden boy. If anything happens to him, you might as well just wave the white flag.
Good enough to make the whole line better. I mean,
he's solid. Like there's actually really good.
You're at least from that side in is better to center. I would imagine. Like
there's a stat like if he's playing, like the win-loss stat is a heck of a lot better. But I want to say that's if he's at left tackle, not at right tackle.
I can imagine. I think he's one of the only tackles I can think of that doesn't need a double team on Max Crosby. He just seems to work Max Crosby. I mean, I seen him just bully him a couple times. I'm like, wow, we got to deal with this for how long? How many years?
Yeah.
Golly.
Yeah.
So
there's a question down below that I thought would be an interesting one to bring up. I want to thank Arnie for raising the question in the chat. Let's start with it is. Let's start with the trifecta here. Overall, what your thoughts are, DZ? Who in the AFC West teams has the best roster?
From top to bottom?
Top to bottom. Who do you think is overrated? Who do you think is underrated?
From top to bottom, it's the Broncos. It's easy for me to see. Like they have, I mean, assuming that your center spot is fixed, but whatever. Overrated. That's tough to say. Who's overrated? Like, I don't know. I mean, the Chiefs are relying on a lot of bringing back some of their old guys. I don't know if you guys paid attention. They're bringing back a lot of guys that were with them for their previous Super Bowl runs. They brought back Eric Bieniemy, but they also injected a ton of youth in their defense. I don't know what necessarily want to call them overrated, but they're just I don't know what to expect for them on defense. And then underrated, I don't know, dude. I don't know. I'm going to step on somebody's toes with this. I want to plead the fifth. I want to pull a Fauci here. Plead the fifth.
No, you can't do that. You already started now.
I mean, I think there's a lot of. I think every team has something that's underrated about them, and then I think there's obviously some overrated. I would think Richie would probably say like his offensive line might be overrated in maybe the run blocking department or pass, one of the two. You know, he like, so it's like, I don't know. Arnie, come on, man. Give us some easier questions here, dude.
Here,
Don't need some
I'll
crazy
blast
load.
through this in like 2 seconds. I believe the Broncos have the best top to bottom roster.
Yeah.
I believe the Broncos are the most overrated within the division, in large part
Broncos?
because, yes, because the problem that the Broncos have right now, and we saw this in the preseason, is once you get past that first wave and even into that second wave of depth in the offensive line for the Broncos, you start to really waver on the offensive line, which is pretty much normal for most teams. I mean, it's one of the hardest positions. But the problem is that we are seeing massive injuries to these big boys this season. Like, we're seeing offensive linemen just drop like crazy this year. Like, it is like kind of weird, actually.
The Ravens just lost one of their guys, had to get carted off the center as well.
Yeah.
They're really kicking themselves about the Linderbaum.
Right, and so I'm looking at the Broncos offensive line, and I think it's generally overrated overall. And the reason why I say that is that when we look at what happened in the playoffs, they were allowing a lot of pressure, and they really weren't allowing for running backs, even backup ones, to have proper lanes. They were able to move guys off the ball. In order to have an offensive line be deemed like elite, I'm looking at like what the Dallas Cowboys used to have, like the Great Wall of Dallas that was there, where they were just moving dudes and just chucking them out the way. And I'm looking at that as a benchmark for like the bar, as it were, to match up to offensive line. Pass rusher, I look at Von Miller as a bar to meet as a pass rusher at the outside linebacker position.
They just don't make them like Von, man.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm looking at these dudes and saying, like, this is the bar of excellent or great. And everyone keeps on saying my Broncos offensive line is excellent and great. And I'm like, not really.
Well, that's what we get fed.
They work really well together. Like this is the thing. They are a cohesive unit because they have worked together for like 2 to 3 years now. So you have camaraderie and all that kind of stuff. So like, I totally get that part. But they are not an elite unit at the offensive line, in my opinion, because in order to be that elite unit, you need to be the ones that say, I'm on the goal line, and 9 out of 10 times, I am moving the big boys out of the way from the opposing team, and we are running it right up the middle.
Right. Yeah.
That is an elite offensive line, in my opinion. And
I think,
I don't believe my Broncos
Sean went with your O-line. Like, I think we talked about this last year, that you guys had more of an athletic, lighter O-line compared to others.
Well, that was we mentioned that on the defensive line. My defensive line was light and athletic, as opposed to the big boys that were kind of aggressive on the run and everything.
Okay. I thought it was the O-line. My bad.
Yeah. I feel like the best roster is easily the Raiders in about 10 years from now.
No, I don't go that far. I would say like just a few years.
Probably like 3 or 4 years from now. You know, Brock, Canty, Mendoza, Mike Washington. I mean, the youth is.
We'll get into it, but
so right now, I would say the most overrated. I'm gonna have to go with the Chiefs because they don't have any Chiefs, guys in here, and they can't stick up for themselves. So, no, but honestly, Patrick Mahomes, I just don't like guys trying to rush coming back, from injuries like that. And if he starts day one, that's a concern for me. I know they tried to bring back Bieniemy. I just feel like Andy Reid, might be reaching that Pete Carroll realm where you're great, but the age is catching up to you, right? It kind of looked to me the last couple of years, and I've said it on my channel the last 3 years, the Chiefs just don't look the same. They weren't the same in the playoffs. They weren't the same on defense. They weren't the same when they got in the Super Bowl against the Eagles and got their butts handed to them. They weren't the same the following year. And then, and then look where they're at now. So I feel the Chiefs. I see all these things on on mainstream media and ESPN and everybody, the Chiefs are still the best team in the NFL. The Chiefs are still the best team in the NFL. And I feel like from what they did last year with the injuries, they got a lot to prove. They lost a lot of bodies that hurt that team, and they continue to lose bodies this year. Their offensive line, we don't know what that's going to be. Kenneth Walker III. I mean, what was he before Clint Kubiak? You know what I mean? Like, he had his best season with Clint Kubiak. So can Eric Bieniemy make Kenneth Walker what he was? So to me, I think the most overrated is the Chiefs, not just because nobody's here. And then the best roster, I think, is, not just because both of you guys are on here, but I really think it's, both of you guys have very, very deep rosters. I know the Chargers lost the center, so that kind of loosens theirs a little bit. But, I feel like both of you guys are in a position where, losing a guy or two during a season or, three is not going to hurt as much as it's going to hurt the Chiefs or the Raiders in the season, right? If something were to happen to our main guy, and y'all know who that is, I'm not even gonna put that out there, but it's another wash season for us on offense. I mean, so far, if you look at what we've done, I just don't see Kurt still having the arm to be out there and going and doing it. So yeah, I think you guys have definitely the Chargers and the Broncos. I would say the Broncos, just because of where they were last year, their O-line stays healthy. So yeah, and then underrated, I guess I have to go with the Chargers because both of y'all are, I think, very, very close. So yeah, I think the Chargers roster is underrated. Like you said, if Justin Herbert would just have the starting offensive line for even 3/4 of the season, not even a full season, I would hate to see what the man can do. But then again, he's got his mind wrapped up in something else, and we all know as men, when your mind gets wrapped up in something else,
he's like a puppy dog right now.
It can change a man. I mean, Josh Allen is a prime example. The last 2 years after he fell in love with his little thing over there.
Herbert's like a puppy dog right now.
Yeah,
literally every day after practice, there's clips, because there's his wife or fiance, I'm sorry, has a whole crazy fan base. So there's Madison Beer accounts all over X, and I don't know if they're now becoming Chargers. It's like Swifties becoming Chiefs fans. It's like Madison Beer fans becoming Chargers fans, and they're posting pictures like them holding hands. Like, it's like, I'm like, dude, this is getting ridiculous, man.
Oh, she's at practice. She's he's hanging all over him when he's on the sideline talking to the coach, and it's starting to remind me of the Belichick thing in North Carolina.
Yeah. I mean, I'm happy for him, and he seems to be
there,
all about ball. But it's like sometimes, like, dude, you got that fourth and a short or something, that QB sneak, and maybe he's like, oh, well, if I don't get it, I got to go home with her, kind of thing. You might lose some of that drive that you had for the previous 6 seasons. You know what I mean?
I might have a turnover in the preseason, but the drive home will be well.
I mean, go back to you said something about losing the center. What I think it does is it definitely lowers the floor of the ceiling of the offense going into this season. I think the ceiling can still be up there, but I think the floor gets lowered because there's a lot less that you're going to be able to do with a rookie center out there. That's just, no matter how good he is coming out of college, I have my concerns about him, especially what I saw in the Houston preseason game.
Where was he drafted? What round?
2nd round.
Oh, so yeah, so
pretty high.
I mean, he's up there with the JPJ. So you gotta,
that. And let's be real, you drafted that dude, and he was in the draft class as being projected as a center, and not only just a center, but one of the best centers in the draft, which is very JPJ-esque, if we're going to be honest, in terms of what we were hearing coming out of the draft. Now, JPJ was known as like the aggressor and all these other things, but Slaughter was a guy that, if you remember, I actually brought him up for my Broncos, looking at him as
he wasn't on my radar. I'll be honest with you.
Well, I brought him up in our draft shows.
Yeah.
I brought him up in our draft shows.
I
Like
remember.
he's an aggressive kind of big, like he's the kind of guy you want on your team, but he's
Kind of a
going to take
smart-
some time. Yeah, he's going to be a dude that's going to take a little bit of time to develop, which is fine.
Yep.
But the good news is that your coach, even though he might talk in circles, loves khaki pants. And
No
I
more
think,
khakis though. Khakis was a Niner thing. They did their gray pants now with the Chargers, but I get what you're saying.
cool. It's still very kind of, even keel, as it were. But the problem is that he's got some stability there, and it's not necessarily a problem. It's a good thing. He's not dealing with the ebbs and flows going on. No matter what happens, your coach kind of stays here. And he's also got some respect across the league, which means that you have some pretty good positional coaches on your team, which are going to help develop the young man and get him to a point where I think he's going to be a pretty solid player for you guys. So is he going to be great right off the bat? Probably not. He's probably going to struggle a bunch. By the way, Rebel, Mendoza, same court, same right across the board. We saw him hold on to the ball too long, but then we saw some laser throws that were just like, lighting the stadium on fire, right?
Yeah.
And so I think you're going to see some ebbs and flows from these young guys, Slaughter, Mendoza, across the board. I think it's what we're going to expect.
Yep.
Yeah, hopefully he doesn't take the trajectory of JPJ. He went down again in practice, and the joint practice, walked off the field. So or not the joint practice, the practice before they flew to the joint practice. So we don't know what's up with him. He didn't practice in the joint practice again. A lot of people are.
He was in street clothes, right? JPJ.
Yeah, a lot of people are insinuating concussion. Again, but. I'm hoping that's not the case for this young man. I just hate to see it for this kid.
I heard trade rumors being floated out there too, but
yeah, there's trade talks being, just 3 coaching staffs, and for some reason you're still, just you're competing for a job, and yes, everybody should compete for a job, but the way I see it, not everybody's competing for a roster spot on this roster like they say they are, right? They stand up in a podium and tell you one thing. Yeah, everybody's competing, but nobody's competing. I mean, not everybody's competing. There's competitions at certain spots, but a lot of people have jobs, and a lot of people were handed jobs. One being the quarterback position.
Nepotism's real, right?
There hasn't been no, every Kirk Cousins still running with the ones. Mendoza's supposedly supposed to take some first team reps. I'm sure Kirk won't play a lot, but in the joint practice, both of them threw interceptions for touchdowns. So both of them, Kirk Cousins and Mendoza. And I didn't hear nothing about Aiden. I don't even think was out there playing in the joint practices. So I don't know what's going on with that either. But yeah, not a good sign, man. Not a good sign. Like
yeah, I agree.
That Mendoza, to me, you can't rush him. Yes, he's got the talent, it's there, but as hard as he is on himself, like we talked about last week, I just I don't know, the constant want to let your teammates down, and then watching that game, I seen everybody's like, oh, he's so great, he had the great performance. I mean, all over national media, and I had to watch it like 8 times because I'm like, okay. He had 3 good throws. For a rookie, that's okay. But for a first-round pick, is that really, okay? Your first play, you're throwing it out of bounds. I mean, you missed some throws, but under pressure, I think he completed one pass, or maybe 0 passes. I think it was 0 for 5 under pressure. So that's not a good sign, right? When they're blitzing, yeah. When you have an open pocket, and he had 3.13 seconds to throw. That was the I want to say third fastest, or the third most time out of the rookies in preseason to throw the ball. You're a first round pick. You have that much time to throw the ball. I think there should be better results. So I think
you should be picking him apart.
You should be picking these teams apart. And you're playing with the second and third string defense. I mean, you're a first overall pick. I don't know. So I didn't see the greatness, but again, they drafted him to develop him and sit for a year, and I feel like they did that for a reason. They know that it's going to take time to get him where he needs to be comfortable in the pocket. But I see all these, even Dan Orlowski's like, oh, he looks so great in the pocket and going through his progressions. And I'm like, is it just me? Is it just me? Am I hating on the kid? Because
you're just being skeptical. You're just
man, I'm just like that. I don't see what you're seeing. I don't see the hype. And if he's not ready, why are we hyping him up? Right? Why are we trying to give him a big head? Which oh, you're
I think
ready.
what you're gonna Rebel. I think what you're gonna like is when you get away from the game scripted plays, like when you get Mendoza in a game, and they have their opening script of plays, and then when you're done with that, that's when you see the real guy, come forward, and that's what you really want to see. But you're also going to want to see solid offensive line blocking for him. You want to see guys not dropping balls. You want to see a running back who can pass block. So there's a lot of things that go into it with, trying to become a successful quarterback in this league. But
yeah. Not holding on the ball, not tapping the ball. That tapping the ball thing to me is a total tell. Every defensive player.
What does he do?
He taps the ball every time before I haven't seen him throwing the ball without tapping.
He taps it and then throws it. So the thing is that
he has his hands ready, and as soon as he's got to touch the ball.
So it's like a tell.
Yeah. So it's a huge tell. Like
wow.
They're trying to obviously get rid of it because you can see sometimes I think he was like, and it's messing with his head.
I'm gonna have to go back and watch.
Go back and watch it. There was a throw where he was getting ready to throw, and then it was like, and I swear he tapped the ball like 4 times and then took that sack, and I was like, it's not a major thing because it's preseason, and yes, you have plenty of time. You got Kirk Cousins in front of you, but those are issues. Those are mental issues that you have to get over, and that's hard to get somebody out of their head that's been doing it their whole career, and change it up and be like, you can't do this, right? You can't do this. And there's been a lot of players that tap the ball.
He's also had to learn how to play under center too, right? That's a new thing for him
learning how to play under center, learning how to roll out. I mean, you learn how to read defenses, and I'm sure Kubiak's playbooks probably, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like he said it himself the first day. He's like, well, I got the playbook and it's like drinking from a water hose. It's just coming so fast up, But so yeah, I don't know. I kind of feel for the kid because everybody, there's that high majority of Raider Nation that wants to see the kid play, and then there's the other half that's we haven't had a first round pick quarterback in 30 years, man. Like just play the kid. Why'd you draft him first round? So it's he's in a tough spot. He's got the weight of the world on his shoulders. You got guys like Ty Simpson.
He's really hard on himself too, right?
Yeah, and he's so hard on himself, and everything has to be perfect, right? Like when you tell him a play, he has to know why did you call this play? Why did you call it against this defense? Like, how's it going to work? What are the schematics? Like, you have to break down, and that, to me, that's going to take time. That's going to take time.
It's got to be tough for him. First round pick, right? First round pick, and the guy that's in your building is Tom Brady, who is just kind of like that, was really hard on himself and his teammates kind of thing. So Mendoza's obviously watch Brady stuff. I mean, Brady's going to go down as the GOAT, right? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you'd hope that the fan base is patient with him because there's going to be some problems. But the kid looks like he has all the tools to be a successful quarterback in the league, and looks like he's going to be the face of the franchise for some time now. So I think it's just the real fans should be patient and just understand that Rome wasn't built in a day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and the good looks good, but the bad looks bad. Right. When you're a first round pick, your floor is supposed to be a little higher. You know what I mean? Like the bad can't look that bad. And that,
so I have a counter argument to that.
The interception for the pick
to what
was like
to what Rebel just said. So you have 2 problems right now. One of them is you have a young rookie quarterback who is incredibly gifted but is making some rookie mistakes. But you've coupled that with a rookie head coach who has really only ever coached veteran players. And so what I mean by this right now, and the reason why this is the problem that you've got an issue with, and why Kirk Cousins, in my opinion, is like he's your starter because Clint doesn't want to, like he doesn't want to adjust. And so I'll tell you what I mean by that as well. In order to have Mendoza start and like work his way back up to an NFL caliber quarterback and kind of like build, stack stones as it were, is Kubiak would have to completely modify his offensive playbook.
Yep.
And what he thinks he wants to do to adjust it down to make it simplistic for a rookie who's got to learn the NFL and the ebbs and flows. And then as the season goes on, Kubiak would then need to stack on more complexity as Mendoza gets more and more comfortable. Now, Kubiak doesn't want to do that because Kubiak has got something to prove to say, I deserve to be a head coach. And so you have this, you have competing. The problem with Kubiak right now is that he's dealing with an organization that has a very, very short hook with a head coach and has proven so over the last several years. And so he feels the need he has to win. If your team were to guarantee Kubiak 3 years, no problem, then I think Kubiak would probably have adjusted his mental math on Mendoza and would have likely approached it differently.
I kind of feel that's somewhere that has to be somewhere in the contract for him to, to be able to go wherever he wanted to come over and take this opportunity. I kind of feel like that, that he would have that in writing. I would. I'd be like, look, you need to put your franchise on it that I'm not getting fired for 3 years. I'm taking half of it when I sue you, right? There's got to be something. I need it in blood. So, I hope and pray, and I really feel like that's the situation. I feel like the last couple of years, they see the writing on the wall. They see the problem in the organization, and you have to give him 3 years. So I don't think he's really worried about winning this year because, they know Kirk Cousins, it's not if, it's when. Something could happen at that age, and the rookie, the same thing. So I feel like he has time. I don't think he's worried about the winning. I just don't, like you said, veteran quarterbacks. I believe his system is so complicated and so complex with all the schemes and the motions and the play action and all that book is so thick that you have to know everything. And for Cousins, he's the veteran. He's been there. He's done that. He's seen all the defenses, right? He can run the ship until the young man's ready. And I feel like, if you look around New Orleans, once Derek Carr got hurt, right, they struggled drastically with Spencer Rattler. But that New Orleans team with Derek Carr was the best team in the NFL for the first 3 games. they were throwing 500 yards. They were throwing for 500 yards, 3 touchdowns, and then Derek Carr got hurt, and then he tried to play through it, and and after that, once Spencer Rattler went in there, that team fell apart. Now I think they finished 9-8, which wasn't too bad, but they started out like 3-1 or 3-0 or something. So that's the only.
I had to think about that for a second. I'm like, Derek Carr with the Saints,
yeah, right. Yeah, like, is he right? Yeah, and then and so that's the only really rookie that I guess Brock Purdy for or was he there with Brock Purdy? The first year, I do believe. But you got Shanahan as the head coach, so that's a totally different story. So I just feel like he wants the comfortability in the system from the quarterback to, a veteran to go out there and run it. And he said it, before they even drafted Mendoza. In a perfect world, you have a veteran come in that can run the ship until the rookie's ready. So I see that I feel like they're going to use patience with that, but. Let me ask you guys this. Do you feel like and I know you don't watch both, but do you feel like maybe they're going with Kurt no matter what because they don't want Mendoza to play and they're not giving him first team reps? But do you feel like it's hurting him not having the opportunity to at least compete for a job right now? I mean, whether he's ready or not, shouldn't he at least be getting first team reps to see what he's?
The way I see it is the Raiders are being ran completely different than what you've been used to for almost 20 years.
Yes.
So I think what bringing in Kubiak, and this is just my outside perspective, right? I think what they're doing with Kirk is going like this. Kirk is he's gonna be running with the ones, right? And what they want to do is setting an example for their future face of the franchise. Be like, watch how he does it. This is how you're gonna do it. Instead of just throwing him into the fire and then screwing with the kids. What's that word I'm going for? Screwing with his like confidence,
Yeah.
right? So they're gonna be like, look, dude, we're gonna roll with this guy, and until it comes crashing down, or like you said, maybe Kirk's arm, whatever, something happens to him, then they'll put him in there or whatever. But competing, I mean, give him reps with the ones, sure, a few reps, but like I said, I think they want to do this the right way because he's going to be there for the long run. So it's like, look, watch this pro. People say whatever they want about Kirk Cousins, but he's a solid NFL quarterback who's
pro.
He's done it at a high level, in many stops. So I think they just want him to just follow his lead, I guess.
He's already starting to answer like him in interviews when anytime they interview Kurt, like while they're talking, he's like, yeah. And now Mendoza's he's like, yeah, well, let me tell you. I'm like, oh my God. He's turned into Kirk Cousins already.
You'll never have any off-field issues with him.
Yes.
Yeah, that's that's a good thing. He's definitely all about that work and getting better. And I don't know because they were asked. Kubiak was asked, "Will the starters play against Houston?" And he said, "We'll see." So I don't know if nobody knows. Every week it's a crapshoot on who's going to play, who's going to start. Max didn't play at all, in the first game. So, and I think he was very upset about that, not even getting out there. Like he was on the sideline, you could see that red beard was matching the rest of his face. He didn't look like he was very happy. So yeah, well, I don't know if they do put him out there. You got to put him out there at least with the first team offense for a little bit, right?
Maybe they do. Maybe they do.
Drive or two, like, but then you haven't been getting work with them in practice. So how familiar you are, you're not very familiar with the center snapping the ball or the receivers you're throwing the ball to. Like, I don't know. It's
that doesn't matter to me. I think, in my opinion, you asked the general question, do I think it's hurting him? Ultimately, yes. I think he should have a game where he is given an opportunity to show himself with the ones in preseason. Not necessarily in practice. I think he needs to go cold and go in to start the game with the ones in preseason. At the end of the day, you made it the most important point, and this is where DZ, I think we kind of depart from one another's takes a little bit. Kirk Cousins is 38 years old. The Raiders are a fledgling organization, or at least a new organization with the current regime. So they are starting kind of from scratch with what they have now. They have a GM. They have a new coach.
Bricks.
They're trying to stack bricks. They're trying to do the thing. By the way, that's not an insult to Raiders fans. I'm just kind of calling what I'm seeing. But they're trying to do it the right way. You can totally tell how they're doing things. They are attempting to build a team using the right kind of foundational pieces and to do the right thing, which, to their credit, is, I hate to see it, but I love to see it because it means that the Raiders are going to be competitive again, right? Now, what that means for Mendoza, under no circumstance should any team ever be telling their rookie quarterback in the first round that they don't have a shot at winning the quarterback competition. Ever. Now,
that was said?
Does that mean that? Pardon me?
Was that said? Because
well,
they're basically saying that right now. They're not giving him any first team reps in practice at all.
I got you.
They're not giving him any opportunity in the first preseason game to play with the ones in any way, shape, or form. And I would argue, if I'm going to be honest, from what I saw from that game there, I would like to have seen Mendoza with the ones behind a better offensive line and a better back and some better weapons on the offensive side of the ball to see what he could do with those guys in preseason. Going back to Kirk Cousins, okay, so here's Rebels team right now. Kirk Cousins is now in game 4. He gets his geriatric rear end kicked out of the game because he gets run over, bulldozed by a 340-pound defensive lineman that just like ravishes him behind the line. Okay, cool. But now you've got nothing. Like Mendoza is then coming in. Again, I'm just saying in theory here. No preseason snap reps whatsoever in game situations with the ones at all ever. No practice reps with the ones ever. And then you're saying, now, dude, now go. That makes no sense. It literally makes no sense to me, especially given the fact that you drafted a guy in the first round. Now, I was against Bo Nix being named starter day 1 for my Denver Broncos, and I maintain that decision because I saw some real challenges with his game. So part of this is also what you think your quarterback's going to do. Do you think your quarterback's going to live up in their head and basically tank their career by acting like an idiot because they can't get out of their own way? And if the answer to that is yes, then I think you have to hold him back and have to help him. If you think that the quarterback can get out of their own way and kind of have a goldfish memory, like what last play? What last interception? I have no idea what you're talking about. So if you think that quarterback has that sort of a memory or that sort of a playing style, and I think Bo Nix fits the latter rather than the former, I think that he is well suited to come in and step into play more readily than a guy that lives in his head. So like Tom Brady has the mental mindset to say, I'm pissed off that I made a mistake, but I can do better. And he then elevates himself in the face of pressure. Bo Nix, I kind of see a little bit of that mental mindset in him, especially with these fourth quarter comebacks.
Rebel, you can always have your team doc shoot Cousins in the chest with a shot, do something. He could take the Herbert arc where Herbert wasn't supposed to play, wasn't supposed to start, and they're like, just kidding, dude, get in there.
Yeah.
The starting quarterback can't breathe.
Brissett, right?
No, it was.
Wasn't it Jacoby Brissett?
No, it's like Geno. Was it Geno? Not Geno. As yeah, wasn't Geno Smith? He was the Chargers. No. God,
No,
dude, wasn't Brissett. We never had Brissett on our team. It was.
Wasn't the guy just? I thought it was that guy.
Dude, this is embarrassing that you're making me second guess. 2020 started. It was crazy because it was the Chargers had a black head coach, black starting quarterback, and something else. And
Tyrod Taylor.
Tyrod Taylor, and they were like the first team in history to have all three.
Yeah, I remember that.
Black at that position at the same time. Yeah. So look, just slip the team doctor or something, and just get it out of the way, and have Mendoza, hit the gates running, man. Week 1.
Mike Florio, like I'm not a big fan of, right? Like he's a Raider hater to the core and a Tom Brady.
He's a hater to everybody.
He's a Tom Brady bigot. Like he just can't stand Tom Brady. But he said something that I kind of agreed with for the first time. The other day he said he feels like this organization and Clint Kubiak don't want Mendoza running with the ones in practice because they don't want everybody to know that he's already better than Kirk Cousins. They don't want everybody to know that he gives us the best chance to win. Now, granted, Kirk Cousins has the veteran mind and all that, but the balls are still floating. He did zip one the other day. It seemed like a rocket, but the balls just seem to float. He's getting tip balls in practice, against rookies, and then these rookies go out and get completely torched against the Cardinals, go out and get completely torched against, the backup from the Cardinals, the third string Cardinals, the fourth string Cardinals. The Raiders didn't have an incomplete pass against the Cardinals until the third quarter.
Wow.
Jacoby Brissett, Gardner Minshew came in perfect. Jacoby was like 8 for 8. Gardner Minshew was 11 for 11 or 14 for 14 something. And then the backup came in and strung his 8 or whatever 9 together before they finally broke up a pass. But Kirk Cousins is completely shining in camp every day. So they're saying, right? Oh, he's killing it in the red zone. 5 touchdowns in the red zone. But that's all I ever hear is touchdowns to Brock. So Mike Florio, it made me think: are they really just so stuck on going with Cousins, and they don't want Mendoza to play this year because they don't feel he's ready? It just doesn't make sense that you're at least not giving them first team reps, at least not letting them compete. Why is there not a quarterback competition? It just doesn't.
Well, no. You don't want that. What you actually want, and I'm like in this like weird spot about how these things like should work, and so I'm curious to see where the chat is at this and whatnot. I do not think there should be a quarterback competition. I do think that the rookie should be told and the veteran should be told that if a rookie outplays you, you're QB2. So, and I believe the rookie should be told if you outplay him, you're QB1. And a team that I look to as a reasonable example of how I think things should be ran is the Seattle Seahawks when they drafted Russell Wilson. I think that is a solid approach to a circumstance like where you're in here. You have a quarterback that has a bunch of skill sets that are elite or way better than the starter that you have, but you also don't know if the dude's going to make mistake after mistake. So at some point you need to be able to throw the guy a bone to say, we're not going to say no, but we're not going to say yes either. And I think that is the actual approach. I think that's the correct approach, because you don't want Mendoza to have this false sense of hope that he's just going to be gifted a job. And you don't want Kirk Cousins to say, so what, you're telling me that I can never start in the NFL? Why did I even bother coming here? And so I think you make it completely fair across the board for everyone involved. And you force the guys to both be better.
Yeah, forcing everybody in the room. Well, that's what Mendoza, when he was asked, how do you feel about the quarterback competition? And Aiden O'Connell too, they both said the same thing. They say we're not competing against each other, we're competing to make each other better. And I thought, I don't know, maybe it's just a Raider in me. I'm like, if you're not competing to beat out the guy in front of you, why the hell are you playing football? Why are you here? If they're trying to convince your quarterback you're not competing against this guy, you're here to make this whole quarterback room and this team better, which that's great. But that's to me just saying, look, we don't want you out there trying to outperform Kirk Cousins because we already know you can, right? We know you can throw faster. We know you can throw farther. We know you can escape the pocket better, right? We know you got more mobility. You can pick up yards. It's just the fact of knowing when to throw the ball and having timing and throwing guys open and reading defenses and not making mistakes. I think that's once that all comes together, and for a lot of rookies that comes together by playing. Some people learn better by getting playtime, right? He might be a kid that sitting on the bench might ruin his career because he might be like, man, I need to play and keep playing. That's my motivation. So I just feel like it started out, they were like, well, we don't really have a starter. And then it was, Kirk Cousins going to take the majority of the first team reps. And then after last week's preseason, they said, Kirk Cousins said, or Clint Kubiak said, I talked to my staff before this, and we need to come up with a plan to give Mendoza more first team reps. So
right.
Everybody,
and that is the right approach. No, but that is the right approach. That's exactly what I'm saying is, look at what we saw from Mendoza in that game. He threw a dart. Like it was a laser throw where he threaded the needle as a dart right up the middle on a seam route to
coverage.
Correct. But he just like right up the middle, and it was a great throw, like a spectacular throw. He also extended a few plays and made a couple other nice throws downfield. Handed the ball off well as well, which was a great thing for your team as well. Washington had a fantastic run there as well. But overall, he earned himself, and this is, by the way, this is what I'm saying. This is the correct approach.
Earn it.
Which is, dude, Rook, good for you. First round pick. You done good, kid. And this is what we wanted to see from you. Here is some first team reps during the next preseason game, because you're going to need some first team reps, because you're definitely the guy that we see as our future. But you're only going to get these if you continue to step your game up and show that you have earned them. And that is the correct approach with a young guy like Mendoza. Because you're forcing him to earn it. You're forcing him to earn it.
I like that approach too, the earn it factor. But to me, isn't that a double standard when you tell your rookie you need to earn it, but we're just giving Kirk Cousins a job?
No, because you don't want to be the first round. I guess maybe you might want to be the first pick again in the draft, because then you get like one hell of a
I don't think we can afford to have any more first round picks. We can't afford to pay him.
But the point is that you don't want to be picking as high as you were again. You want to show your team that you're progressing in an upward trajectory to keep a guy like Max happy, to keep some of these guys that you're going to need to re-sign wanting to re-sign with your team, and not have to overpay them to keep them on your roster. You're going to want to start showing that you're in an upward trajectory as a team, and not kind of plateauing in like the lower middling part of the NFL. You want to show that you're turning the corner as a franchise, and I think that's fair.
But you don't feel like that could be a double standard in the building when you're coming in and you're trying to change your culture and you're telling guys you need to compete for this job, you need to compete for this job. But I'm bringing in Kirk Cousins, who's 39 years old, coming off two of his worst seasons and 2 years removed from an Achilles. But he's not having to compete because of his body of work in the past, right? Like that. To me, that's how do you build a culture and get people to follow you when you're showing double standards. Like, you got to compete. We're bringing in this veteran, he's got to compete. We're bringing in Kwity Paye, he's a veteran, he's got to compete. But we're bringing in Kirk Cousins, and you're just getting first team reps because we believe you're the best quarterback because of our past jobs,
sure,
our past friendship.
Sure.
Like, to me, that just like
every team and every player has to start somewhere. We went through the draft.
Yeah.
And you drafted guys to come in to compete for those starting positions to make your team better. And we moved from the draft into the preseason. And your first round draft pick, or any draft pick, you're going to want to compete for their position. And you have a starting roster order on your team for a reason, which is, number one, to force a veteran to show that they need to keep their job. And two, to give a rookie or a young guy an opportunity to earn the starting position, which is the better option for most teams as we're looking at this. And that would be a guy like Jared Stidham. That would be a guy like Sam Ellinger. That there's a whole host of reasons why you want to operate your team in that regard. Just super quick to answer this, and I want to jump right into our analysis of our respective preseason games, which is Bo Nix beat out Zach Wilson and Jared Stidham. Now, Wilson, if you remember,
MILF Hunter, right?
is the MILF Hunter, soccer mom lover, however you want to put it. Basically no minivan is safe. And then Jared Stidham. And Jared Stidham was a little bit better in terms of how he looked in preseason than Wilson. But then Wilson, as the season went on, I actually thought was looking quite good. We ultimately couldn't keep Wilson. We let him go, and then Stidham stuck around. So Bo Nix did absolutely have competition that he beat out, and he had to earn that step of coming from number 3 on the roster and continue to elevate himself in what we were talking about. But I'm going to throw over to you, DZ, and talk about the preseason game for your Chargers. to give us a bit of a breakdown, what you saw, what you liked, what you didn't like. And I think we should probably give maybe one or two guys that we think stood out. And so Raiders Rebel, to kind of give you an idea, this would be an example of someone like a Mendoza who went from solely having second team and third team reps, who now the coaching staff is like, maybe he should kind of run with the ones and see what he actually can do. And you're going to have a few guys like that on all of our teams that we believe are going to be elevated. So DZ, over to you.
So the Chargers played in Houston. It was a backup bowl. They didn't have any first team, there was no first team offense, no first team defense out there. Same for the Texans as well. It's different because I want to say the Chiefs, Broncos, and Raiders all had first team series or reps.
Yes, I
going
did,
in this first season.
Yeah.
So it was a fun game. Actually, believe it or not, I think I put a post out that on X saying how refreshing it was to see a system being ran, decently in preseason. Is that saying it was perfect? By no means was it perfect. Chargers ended up handling this. I mean, I know we're not supposed to keep track of score, but look, we play the game to win. 27-7. And to be honest with you, the touchdown the Texans got was off a ticky-tack PI, which could have been offensive pass interference. The defense held Davis Mills I think under 100 yards. I think it was 82 passing yards or something. Chargers first downs 23-10 to the Texans. Now the Texans did lose one of their quarterbacks. I don't remember his name, but the turf monster bit him, and I think he went down with an ACL non-contact thing. So that sucks for him. So Davis Mills had to come back and play the rest of the game. So he started, and then the other guy came in, and then anyways, I think the Chargers ended up coming away with this just shy of 400 offensive yards. The thing that I saw that I really liked was the physical nature that the Chargers played with against the Texans. I mean, everybody talks about the Texans, and rightfully so, because their starters are going to be really good, but the Chargers, I call it the 2s and 3s. They looked good. They were fighting for roster spots. It looked promising. Yes, there were some sloppy plays, some sloppy moments. Sure. One thing that I'll talk about, which is going to come in and probably have to help the ones, is in that game, the offensive line, the combinations offensive lines, because there was many of them. I mean, at one point, there was a offensive line of just all rookies that the Chargers had out there, which was kind of surprising. But through the whole game, the Chargers only gave up 4 pressures, offensive sides, which between 2 quarterbacks, which I thought was pretty impressive, especially going against some of the guys that were on that Texans. The Texans had one of their ex-Charger, Naquan Jones, who did sack one of our guys, and rightfully so. But
it's got to be promising for Slaughter.
Sure. So Slaughter, This is what I was trying to look for earlier when we were talking about this. I think he did really good in one aspect and kind of poorly in another aspect. And I want to say he did good in pass blocking and struggled in run blocking. And that tracks from what I've been hearing about him in camp. So, but I'm not 100 about that. I have to go look. One thing I noticed, though, also, the Texans had a ton of penalties, and I know I'm not talking about the Texans, but they had 10 penalties. So Raider Rebel, that's something to keep track of with your game coming up. They look kind of undisciplined.
We had 8 last week, so
I think we had 6. But that's good because you guys are always a high penalized team. So if you guys can bring that down, that will save your bacon going into the season. A lot of games.
What was that? Didn't you guys beat them 26-4 or something? 24-6?
It was 27-7. That was with Trey Lance and DJU. I will
You're
say
ruining my
this.
trip.
What's that?
I said you're ruining my trip. No. If we can at least be competitive against the Chargers, I mean against the Houston Texans, and you guys beat them like that, we have no chance in the AFC West.
No, I think. Yeah, I guess it depends on who you guys are starting and who you guys are playing. This was like all the backups, but another thing, Richie, like how I hate like using PFF as an example, but like I rewatched my game, I think 1.5 times. I watched everybody's game. Like I watched the first with the Raiders, I watched the first with the Broncos, and I watched some of the Chiefs game as well. But I didn't go back to those. So what I know about your guys' games just from what I watched, at that time. But I think the PFF. Look, I hate saying them because I hate them, but I'm using them, and this goes in with the O line. There were 6 O linemen who had a score of 80 or above, right, in that game, which is showing me, look, there's some young, promising bucks, that the Chargers brought in that are going to be able to help out, and they're probably going to have to help out this season with the ones. Let's see who else. I will say DJU. He's a third string quarterback. I honestly think that he should be Herbert's backup. This Trey Lance kid, if he didn't have the legs he has, I don't see how he's in the league like anymore. Like this guy like hikes the ball, snaps the ball, whatever, and literally is like Samuel L. Jackson just staring down his first read. He just stares them down, and the guy almost threw like 7, I don't know, something crazy, like 6 interceptions or whatever it was. And luckily, they didn't come down with any of them. I think they did come down with one, I want to say. But DJU, the third string guy, who's a better pocket passer, he went 6 for 9. His completion rate was 66.7 or something like that. It was 13.3 yards attempt. He had like 146.8 rating. Like the kid looked promising, especially with this Mike McDaniel scheme, and that's the guy I want backing up Herbert. But look, I'm not in the coaching staff. I'm just a fan, and it was just one game, so let's not overreact, I guess. I want to shout out a couple. We'll go ahead and shout out some players. Akeem Mesidor, our first-round pick, he only played like 9 snaps. Didn't get any sacks, but dude, he looked the part. The 9 snaps he played, he looked the part, and that's something very promising. Looking forward to this season. But after this game, he hasn't practiced, so another red flag. KLS, yeah, right. This one thing though, you got to take with this Chargers staff with Harbaugh, they're all about abundance of caution. So I think some of these guys that aren't practicing, they're like, yeah, we're not going to even risk it. If you feel something, we're going to sit you, make sure you're straight, and we're not going to force it kind of thing. Let's see. According to what it says, passport. Yes, Richie, you're correct. Thank you for checking that out for me. Yeah, run blocking, which Biotish was good at. Anyways, moving on. KLS was a big target in this game. He's a guy fighting for a roster spot, especially with the addition of Brennan Thompson, 4th-round pick. How many wide receivers they keep in this room, I don't know. But he went 4 for 58. This is a kid I'm rooting for to make this squad this year. I think he's got, more to give, especially going into second year, first year in this scheme. I will say Matlock experience has got to end, man. Matlock is the D tackle. They converted into a fullback. Like, I'm over it, man. One thing you notice about this McDaniel scheme is like almost every play is pre-snap motion. There's so much pre-snap going on, and they had Matlock running a bunch of it, and it just, you watched him block, and it was sloppy. This guy's massive human, dude, and his blocks just look sloppy. They don't look right. I'm done with this, dude. just send him to the CFL or something. Like, just get him out of here. I don't care if. And the thing is he's one of those guys that does anything coaching staff asks, right? So they're like, hey, dude, I want you to play left tackle. And yes, they've done that this camp. They've had him play left tackle, and he does it. So he's probably a great guy. I'm at the point where I don't care anymore. I'm like, dude, I just want to win. I don't care that you have these good locker room guys. I just want to win, put the best people out there at all times. And I'm going to mention a name that kind of surprised me, but he was playing with the threes, was a tight end, Pascuzzi, kind of a cool last name. They had him playing fullback, and he looked a hell of a lot better than Matlock did with the threes. 6'4", 241, has that tight end fullback build. Do I think he makes the 53? No. But would I want him to stick around the practice squad? Yes. I love the way he was playing. And then just shout out a couple other guys. Avery Smith, UDFA dude out of Toledo. He's looking the part. You always want more cornerbacks. Travis Burke, the offensive lineman.
Yep.
Look good, dude. Plays with some nastiness. You love that. He got a game ball. Harbaugh gives game balls out like Oprah Winfrey does, cars, but he got a game ball, so whatever. Branson Taylor looks solid as well. I thought this is another guy competing for a guard spot, second-year player. So, yeah, and then Coyote Washika, the dude who every Chargers fan wants to ship to Iran right now, he was actually the 9th highest-rated guard in all of preseason, and he played a few snaps. So, look, this was he was playing against number 2s and 3s, so I'm going to take it with a grain of salt and not overreact. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh God, I left out one guy. I'm sorry, Rich. Real quick. So Kimani Vidal, without him, we wouldn't have made the playoffs last year because you know how our running back room was a horrible mess. We had Cyclops, Najee Harris, and then Omarion Hampton got hurt. So Kimani Vidal, I thank you, but dude played in the game like he had a roster spot on lock. It looked bad. He looked like slow. It wasn't good. And then in comes Amar Johnson, a dude that the Chargers poached off of Green Bay's practice squad last year. He was a UDFA. He had 6 rushes for 17 yards. Not great, right? You're like, okay, whatever. 1 touchdown off that, but 2 receptions for 68 yards and a touchdown. So he had 2 touchdowns. So this dude's a pass-catching threat. 5'10", 205, out of South Dakota State. So I think he won a chip with them. I forget what conference they're in college, but he looks promising, man. And it's like you keep putting up, stats like that, you're gonna get a job. Somewhere.
14 points is difficult to overlook. Let's just put it that way.
Exactly.
Right?
100%.
That's just simple what it is.
Yeah.
So, DZ, I have a question for you.
Yeah, rock and roll, man.
In looking at things here, just give me one sec.
No worries.
Taking a look here. So we have this image just throw up on screen. We've had some conversations on the show. Things can happen while we're live where, if you're so technically inclined, you can make images pop up. So with this image in mind,
look at did you see the lightning bolt right above the tinfoil?
Yeah, exactly. Yes, exactly. I thought it was perfectly edited on my part. But in looking overall, where are you at from wearing your Chargers baseball cap to this tinfoil hat on your Chargers and your offensive line injuries? Like some of these injuries that your team is personally suffering, like. It is transcending coaching staffs, it is transcending. Like the only common thread is the ownership. So I have some just general questions, like, where are you at on this? Like, I'm genuinely, again,
to be simple about it, I think we're cursed. I think the organization's cursed. I think the football gods hate us because it's like, why do you keep doing this to us? Like, why? Our fan base got fractured. We moved, like, this whole thing. We played in a effing soccer stadium. We share a stadium with the Rams. Like, it's like, why do you guys, why are you testing us? Like, but we are the few, the proud. I don't know about proud, but we are the few Charger fans remaining, and you keep testing our loyalty and patience, man, with these injuries that happen for reasons I have no clue about. And you can't say that it's strength and conditioning. You can't say any of this stuff because guess what? The Joe Alt and the Biotish were self-inflicted from their own teammates, essentially. You know, what happened to Joe Alt last year, he was coming back from a sprained ankle and had Trey Pipkins, who, for whatever reason, they decided to give him $10 million to have him come back and terrorize this squad for a few more years. He just olayed some dude who came flying in like a rocket and just blew the back of his ankle up into a million pieces. And then you bring in Coyote Awashika, who had Trey Pipkins right next to him, helping push a guy into their starting top 10 center that they just got, who we thought would fix the whole F&O line. And then you go to Slater, who had been dealing with knee pain since 2022, right? Like, and then they overlooked that somehow and decided to give him $114 million. So it's like none of these, it's just incompetence. It's just bad O-line management, however you want to say it, however you want to call it. I don't know, dude, but I don't know. I'm starting to like get on Google Maps, be like, are there substations near the practice facility? Do we have what the freaking Niners have? Is there something? Did they build a practice?
It's all the smog in the air in California and the
something,
pollution.
dude. Did they build a bolt in El Segundo on an Indian burial site? What happened? What happened, dude? What's going on?
People are brittle, man. It's the 49ers, the Rams. Like everybody gets hurt out there.
Look, yeah, D-Rock. Like, is the Chargers? Like, seriously, is it near an electrical substation? I asked him for a friend. I don't know. I have to figure it out. There is a giant.
I bet there's one close.
There is a giant, like, electrical towers. It's like one. It's it's like just holding up all the transformer lines, whatever. And people are like, well, look at where the Chargers are. They have this right next to them, and yeah, I don't know, man. It's
all that stuff going in the water they drink, and
I've always said, dude, like as a joke, like there's something in the water in California.
Oh yeah,
because the Niners are always constantly something happen, but now they're talking about the substation. Chargers have been getting hurt, and then you have the Rams as well. Rams have been pretty straight, but then now I'm seeing that they're dealing with a lot of injuries, and they had that 1 year where their whole roster was decimated that 1 year. I think it was like 2 seasons ago or something, if I'm not mistaken. But look, to make a long story short, with the offensive line, there's some dudes, Rich, Rebel, there's some dudes. They drafted some guys, but they're young, man. They're young and they're raw. And it's just, you wanted to give him another year. That's what I want to do with Slaughter. I wanted Slaughter to just be that backup, and I wanted him to do the Mendoza thing, the way I feel Mendoza. I wanted him to just sit and learn and figure it out. Look, if you were to look at a picture of Jake Slaughter, if nobody in here has ever looked at him, look him up. He looks like the dude I was dealing with at Home Depot, man. He looks exactly like that guy, just a bigger guy. To me, it looks like he needs to put on some weight for that anchor. Put on a little bit of muscle, a little bit of weight. I'm not saying he's not going to be great, and now we're talking about the centers that are behind him. UDFA, Jake Spomer out of Fresno, 6'2", 290. We're not in college anymore, bro. This is the NFL. You need to be like 3-something, dude. And I'm preferably a couple inches bigger than that.
There needs to be a 3-something
Yes, a
in that weight of
3-something.
your a
And then-
3-something.
Everybody's talking about Jake Spomer, right? They're all talking about him. He's this guy that we got. But for some reason, I don't know why, no one's talking about Kaltenberger, who we have, he's going in his second year. I think he's out of Maryland, if I'm not mistaken. Don't quote me on that. But he's like 6'4", he's 3-something. So it's a lot of unknown. And guess what? The whole league has got a center issue. Everybody's down centers right now. So good luck finding anybody right now. I mean, the Ravens literally today just lost their backup, right? And they're already struggling and fighting after they lost Leonard Baum to the Raiders. Richie, you guys, went down to 4 or whatever, so you probably ate up some.
I'm not going to lie. That's the one spot that I'm actually not concerned with my team on.
Right, because they're not serious injuries, right?
No, it's not even that. It's just like I have 6 starting caliber centers on my team right now.
That's wild. I have
I'm being serious. Like I have Dieter, I have Alex Forsyth, I have Whatabagle, I have Throckmorton.
Throckmorton plays center too?
He played center most of the preseason, and we freaking killed that other team. And like he was like perfect. Huh. And then I also have Quinn Miners, who most people forget.
We don't want him playing center, but he could do it.
Yeah. No, he played center at in his college alma mater. That was one of his primary positions.
Shit. So I mean, look, the guys that I mentioned, they're all centers. They've all played center. That's where they're coming from, but they're not proven in the NFL. That's my main concern.
No, I mean,
the
in fairness, Miners isn't either. In fairness, Miners not proven in the NFL, but he's also an all-pro guard at the NFL level, and so a Miners step down is kind of not that big of a deal in the scheme of things.
My fear right now with this current O-line, if it is going to play out the way I do, is going against elite 0 and 1 techs. And then third and longs are going to give me PTSD because that's just where I'm going to have my PTSD. Mike McDaniel.
Don't worry about us, then. We have neither.
Yeah.
Mike McDaniel's got to work his magic. But look,
we don't have a 0 or a 1 pick.
That's my game. We've got the Niners coming up, and supposedly the starters are going to play a series, but to be honest with you, with our injury luck these last few days, Richie, I'd rather they
sit them. Yeah, sit them.
I'd rather they not play at all.
Yeah.
So they don't need to.
No.
Well, there is some stats in like the postseason where
we have one more game too.
Yeah. So we're getting in some interesting territory right now where we're going to start getting some long haul stats on whether or not you play your starters and if they get hurt in the regular season or not. I'm super interested in a bit of a meta-analysis on that. By the way, just for those who don't know, my day job is in the technology field. Like this is like what I do for a living. And so data analytics and stuff is part of my role of what I do for work. And so I'm going to be putting my skills to good use, and I'm going to look at some of the NFL injury stats on this because I'm just curious. But I think a meta-analysis is going to be important. By the way, Rebel, just on that note there as an example, the meta-analysis has been around for enough years now that resting your starters in that last game, if you're a lock for the playoffs, is actually not in your best interest. The overwhelming majority of teams that sit their starters in that last game, like the one where you're leading into the playoffs where you're a lock. I'm sorry, but the overwhelming stats are going to show that you're a one and done playoff team.
To be fair, that has backfired on us. Staley did play Mike Williams in a meaningless game, and he broke his back, and we lost him for the playoffs. So
sure, but again, you're cursed. We've already established that. This is it is what it is. Like one way or another, you were screwed.
The football gods don't like us having shiny toys or anything.
Yeah. we had Derek Carr out there in the fourth quarter when we were, already had a playoff spot wrapped up, and he broke his leg in 2016. So
I remember that. Oh my god.
I'm not a fan of playing people on the last game.
Yeah.
Damn, that brought back memories.
Just to kind of keep the show moving along here, I'm going to jump into my Denver Broncos in our first preseason game, give us a little breakdown analysis and other things like that. And I promise to not disappoint. I'm going to stay true to form based on the show last week. I have taken notes, and they're pretty solid.
Richie, it's just a preseason game.
Sure. So I've taken notes. So I have a different opinion than what the vast majority of folks out there have when it comes to Jarrett Stidham. If you look online in Broncos country and you look at all of the Broncos podcasts and all the Broncos shows and all the Broncos X in Twitter universe and the whole crap like that, everyone is going just Jarrett Stidham, oh my gosh, wow, he just looks so amazing and blah, 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 blah. And then, but they're using Jarrett Stidham in terms of the fact that he played with the ones and he played with like all the other stuff. And they're like, just like, basically hoping that he produces their firstborn or something. Like, it's ridiculous.
Didn't he play with the ones in the playoffs last year?
Yeah, he did. How did that go? Again, like, look, dude, I agree is the long and the short of it. Like, there's no sense in me, going on about it. However, then on the flip side, all these fans are like, oh, Sam didn't look nearly as good as Jarrett. It's like, of course not. He was playing with the 3s and the 4s. Like, miss me with that nonsense, man. Completely miss me with that crap. And so yeah, and I'm seeing a lot of these people that Jonah Ellis is basically wearing his gold jacket.
Jacket already, damn.
Yeah, but again, my whole thing is, look, I will admit a few things on Jarrett Stidham in this last game. He looked very good. He looked poised. He made good throws, and he made the right choices while playing against another team's second stringers and playing with the Denver Broncos ones. Notice how I included those last two things? Yeah, most other dudes don't, right? They just simply are like, oh. So that's how you kind of know that I'm keeping it kind of straight down the middle with everyone here, and the fact that I'm actually giving you proper analysis, because most of these other podcasts just basically try to say that Jarrett Stidham is like, the next greatest quarterback to ever step onto the football field. Now, what I would like to see from my Denver Broncos, and I've heard rumors that this is what we're going to see in this upcoming game. Now, I'm skeptical, but I would like to see this. If the Denver Broncos are truly trying to carry only 2 quarterbacks this season, I would like to see Bo Nix play for like a series, like one series, to just get his sea legs under him. We're playing back in Mile High, which means we're playing on grass, which is going to be better for his recovering knee and ankle, which is, 2 thumbs up. Thank you. And so I'd like to see him just play that one series to just kind of get into the ebb and flow, and someone needs to get in those old school hooks and just yank him off the field and say, the bench is that way, young buddy. And you want him to play, but you don't want him to get hurt. And there's a fine line between that. And anyone that thinks that we're going to go ahead and have a spectacular season this season without Bo Nix is lying to themselves. Now, what I want to see as the second quarterback is I'd like to see Sam and Jared flip. I want Sam to play with the 2s and even some of the 1s to get those guys those extra reps. But I want us to see Sam with better talent on the field to see if he's able to make faster decisions, get the ball out of his hands quicker, throw those seam routes that we saw from Stidham with more athletic talent on the field, and also get a run game that's able to get those larger, more explosive chunk yards on the run game as well, which, by the way, changes the offense quite dramatically. If you have a running back that can get 14 to 15 yards on a per run basis, that's kind of a big deal. And so I'd like to see that from my Denver Broncos, is to kind of see the quarterbacks invert in the second preseason game. and then start to make some decisions in terms of where you think those rankings are going to be. But I want to see them get a fair shot, and rather than stack the cards against Sam and basically gift it to Stidham. I think that's stupid, especially considering we already saw him play like dog water in the playoffs last year when we actually needed him. So, in my opinion, you got to give Stidham a pretty steep uphill climb, if I'm going to be honest. And I think that's, an important piece. D-Rock, I agree. I'm going to get to him a little bit later on. Now, number 2 is Davis Webb. We saw some great stuff on the offensive side of the ball in that game, if we're going to be honest. We saw 360 yards in total offense. Yes, I had that number memorized. We saw in that game, which was pretty spectacular. It was 359, but I'm rounding up, so bear with me. So it's 359 total yards of offense, 360 by my rounding up numbers, which is spectacular. That's some pretty solid offense. Keep in mind that we pulled our starters pretty early on once we went up by 2 scores sort of thing, and we started to really bring in the backup talent and stuff like that on the roster.
Was that at the half or?
It happened after the first 2 series, I think, or 3 series. And it was done in waves. We saw some guys stay out there a little bit longer, and we saw some guys get pulled faster. So Sutton lasted like 1 or 2 series.
I just saw
on a snap
with
count.
the Falcons, it was like punt, interception, punt, pick 6 or something. I was like, they had a rough day.
Oh, yeah. But that was the defense. And, the defense didn't stay on for all that long. The defense was on, and we started rotating some of the starters out. Our defense, I'm not – this is like you kind of know that I'm telling the truth because I will slander my team pretty harsh. They're wicked. Like, our defense is solid. And that just, it kind of goes without saying at this point. I think we have some real opportunity there. But Davis Webb had a very aggressive fast start. Another thing to keep in mind, we had a 6-play, 69-yard opening touchdown drive in that game. This is a very rare thing for the Broncos. Sean Payton normally kind of feels the water and kind of starts off slower. So we've been talking about the last 3-4 podcasts about the Denver Broncos, what our offense is going to look like. Like, what's going to be Sean Payton? What's going to be, Davis Webb? How are these two, masterminds, as it were, going to mesh their playing styles? And I think we saw quite a bit of that in this preseason game. I think we saw Davis Webb and his aggressive play calling style in the early part of the game to ensure that the Denver Broncos had an aggressive start and did some really great things on offense. And then I think we saw the little bit of the Sean Payton influence come in at the end, which I was not happy about in any way, shape, or form, because Sean Payton loves to kind of he likes to stretch out how the play calls work out at the end of the game to try to run out the clock. So he kind of calls certain plays at certain points, I suppose to his credit, because he wins a ton of games. So it's obviously working.
Right.
But he likes to call certain plays to just make the game edge out, boring and long for the end of the games when he's winning, to try to coast out to the win. And he's willing to win it by a score or 2 at best. Whereas I want to win by 20. I want to go pedal to the metal right to the end. And dude, if I put up 90 points on you, looks like you need to find yourself a new defensive coordinator. Sorry, not my problem.
What team or OC just said they want to be the highest scoring? Who was that was just talking about that? You guys know?
That I don't know.
Some OC or somebody out there saying they
want
to be the most explosive or something, but that makes sense what Richie just said.
So my whole thing is you don't want to get your offense on and off the field super quick, because then your defense can't stay rested. But at the same time, you want to put up major points so that all of a sudden, your defense is able to start teeing off on other teams and just slaughtering the quarterback.
Half.
Yeah, 100%.
Sustained drives.
Correct, 100%. You want the 2015 Denver Broncos defense that just slaughters teams because you're up by a score or 2. and
thanks.
then the defense just kills them. Like you literally just want Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware coming off the edges and killing them. Like that's just literally what you want. So that's my number 2. My number 3 is going to be our defense. That was ridiculous. Like you kind of listed off a couple of the highlight reels there, DZ. Like that was crazy how good that defense looked on the field.
Was it last week or a couple weeks ago? I was like, oh, the Falcons are my sleeper team. I need to like change that. Like I don't even care if Bijan and some of the guys weren't out there. Like, no, dude. Like, dude, no.
So some things to keep in mind. Just some things to keep in mind. The Broncos forced multiple first half turnovers, and it led to us scoring 14 points.
Yeah.
So what that means, just for the listen. So yeah, exactly. As like an opposing team, you're like, oh crap, right? But what that means, just for like the general audience that's watching us and listening to the podcast, is in preseason, that means that we're playing against the team's starters and the team's backups, right? Like that's the first half of most of these preseason games. So that means that we just basically demolished the Falcons, just like outright. Like it wasn't even a game at that point. And then the Broncos started pulling a lot of our offensive players to make sure they didn't get hurt. And then we started pulling our defensive players, and then we had another 2 turnovers.
Depth is great.
Depth is a wonderful thing, you know what I mean? And so something to keep in mind. Keep in mind Corinne Reed with that INT and the Pax breakup, undrafted free agent inside linebacker from last year. Like we had some amazing plays there by our depth on the defensive side of the ball. And I think what we ultimately saw in the Falcons game is that I legitimately think that some of our roster cuts from the defensive side of the ball in particular, they're going to be starters for a good percentage of
they're going to get scooped up.
Yeah, like for sure. Yeah. So that's my number 3. Number 4 is that we saw a legitimate running game without Dobbins.
Well, to be fair, you're not going to have him for the whole season, so you're going to have to rely on your backup.
I agree, but
the guy
but
that
he
I saw,
promised, man. He pinky promised,
right?
So
we all
you know,
pinky promised. He has fingers crossed being his other back.
Yeah.
Dude, Coleman, and then even for Rebel Washington, like there's 2 new running backs in this division that look legit at AF, right? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And especially with the Broncos, like RJ Harvey can literally just go to that whole pass catching role, third down back status. You know what I mean? That could be just his game. Maybe some special teams, and Coleman could just be that ground and pound kind of that guy.
But that's exact. So if you recall my comments in some of our earlier shows, and by the way, when we were on MHRT with the show before we moved over to our independent status right now, my comment, and it did not land well, but look at exactly what we saw in the first preseason game. RJ Harvey had a couple good runs, but not really. Most of his yards were picked up as that kind of like passing gadget style runner that kind of did some kind of decent stuff. I said from the get-go, RJ Harvey is going to be the upgrade to McLaughlin. He is going to be the guy, which is an unpopular opinion in Broncos country. And guess what? My answer to that is I don't care. Right. Like, look at what he's being used for, and look what he's good at.
Yeah.
RJ Harvey has been really good at pass catching, and from time to time runs fairly well up the middle, but most of the time tries to bounce it outside. But the guy, and there's a reason why the Broncos went out and got Coleman, Dobbins, basically going to be used as same 1A, 1B, and then Harvey is going to be the
dude. That's going to be a nasty duo.
Yes,
for however long, like Dobbins stays healthy, like just whatever, like just say he does. That's a nasty duo, and then just be like. RJ Harvey's like a third and whatever, and just be like, all right, run some gadget BS or whatever.
Yeah, go get 30 yards just for fun is basically what that'll be.
That's a nasty duo because
Yeah.
let's be fair, we can poke fun at Dobbins all we want, but when he's healthy, especially what we've seen under with Sean Payton with
Top
these
3,
Broncos,
top 5.
he looks
Yeah.
really good.
Yeah.
He ran really well before he got hurt last year.
Yeah, 100%. And then this is kind of where I bring up this. So this is Frank Crum.
Crum, okay. He does look like a Crum, a caveman.
This is Frank Crum. Frank Crum is our depth tackle. He's a developmental player that was supposed to take that additional next step this year. In fairness, if I'm going to be honest, the dude's like 6'7" or 6'8". Like it's something stupid.
Dude.
Like the dude's massive. Okay. The dude is legitimately large.
Sounds like our Dalton Wagner.
Yeah, like he's legitimately large. And he got absolutely dog walked that game.
Do you know by who? Like
no, but I don't even know I don't think it mattered. He just got absolutely slaughtered.
Whoever he was going against.
Was he playing right or left tackle?
Left tackle.
Wow, so somebody
yeah. So he's
Wow.
6 foot. He's 6'7", 315. So he's 6'7", 315. He's an athletic freak. I'm not even saying like the dude is like on a different level when it comes to athleticism. A guy that big.
Out of the draft 2 years ago, I thought he was, his speed and agility and the drills. I was like, man, for his size, this dude's gonna be a freak.
He is a freak. The problem is that he keeps on regressing from a technique perspective. He's super raw. He came out super raw. He progressed really well under the coaching staff.
Do we know where he came from? What school off the top of your head?
No.
Rebel?
I don't, unfortunately.
I mean, I could look it up. I was just like, Rebel threw out some of his.
No, why I want to say Virginia, but I don't think we could.
University of Wyoming.
Wyoming, that's it. I knew it was one of those.
Cowboys,
Wyoming.
Right?
Wyoming.
Yeah. So
isn't that where Josh Allen went?
Yeah.
Okay.
The reason why I'm kind of centering out Frank Crum is just because he was the guy that all these Broncos analysts and podcasters and all this stuff were like, he's for sure making the Broncos 53-man roster and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, well, okay, but why? But why? Honestly, why? Like, why would he be the lock to make the 53-man roster? He was kept on the roster before. But at the end of the day, the Broncos paid an absolute premium for Tyler Miller, who plays the exact same position. And, oh, by the way, is both taller and bigger as a UDFA. And, again, I'm going to push back on the other nonsense that I was reading online and seeing online from these other podcasters out there in Broncos country. In my opinion, from what I saw from Tyler Miller, yeah, he had a couple of, welcome to the NFL rookie moments. Fair enough. He's a UDFA tackle who's got to grow and meet the moment when it comes to the NFL and the caliber of players here. But he had some incredible plays that were legit, like where you saw him just take a dude and say, I'm going to throw you as close to your end zone as I could possibly find. And he just blew guys up. And that's what you want from a UDFA tackle. You want a UDFA tackle to show the promise of the physicality, the stuff that cannot be taught. And then you work with that and then level up those skill sets as he kind of continues down and begins to grow. So overall, I'll take the clown Crum off the screen there. But
does Crum get? I just looked him up. Looks like he gets perms. His hair's
no, that's his nat. He always has that. That's been his deal. Like that's.
And
his
I
thing.
see his new nickname, Frank the Tank.
Yeah,
it's a great nickname, dude. You better be able to live up to it, buddy.
But couple things to make note of. We had some special team issues. We had a blocked field goal. We had a poor snap from the backup long snapper. We had just some some just real issues on special teams and backups, like overall on the line and everything like that. I would like to see guys like Tyler Miller and other guys that actually elevated their play that are in the deeper part of the offensive line, like with the third team. I'd like to see them, again, Rebel, just like we spoke about with Mendoza, give them their shot to start playing against better level talent in the preseason and get a better understanding of what you have on your roster. Like, I will kind of give my team the flowers here. We have a very good roster right now, like a very, very good roster. But the only way that rosters get better and remain a top, like an upper echelon team, is you need to develop these young players that are on rookie contracts to offset the mega deals that you have to pay the superstars on your team. Bo Nix is coming due for a big contract. You have some big contracts on the defensive side. You have a cornerback that you're going to have to pay, whether it be Riley Moss or Jaquan McMillan. And we're going to need to find some offsetting talent on the offensive and even defensive side of the ball to bolster some of these positions. The fresh that was brought up by D-Rock as an example, he was legit as
Who
a
is he?
gunner.
What is he, a tight end, wide receiver?
Yeah, he is a corner,
Oh,
if I'm not mistaken, and he played real well. So we had Fresh and Butler come over from the UFL. I believe Fresh is the guy from the UFL, if I'm not mistaken. And he killed it. Both of them, like Butler did not have a good game, but Fresh really leveled himself up and showed that he belongs in a conversation. I do also want to give massive props to one other player that was a UDFA. And then one other guy, I just want to make sure get some credit for the game as well. A wide receiver with the last name Manjack, which is just a legit last name, like just, good for you. And by the way, his last name is Manjack the Fourth. So he's like one of four with the same name, which is amazing in and of itself. So that's spectacular. I think he kind of elevated his name up the depth chart from being like second to last or last. And he's probably moved himself right up in some like legit playing time to get some real looks for my Denver Broncos.
I mean, I don't see many opportunities for a lot of these guys making your 53, but definitely practice squad guys that could be brought up in case something happens, right?
Okay. So here's my other thing. All right, cool. You're paying one of the cornerbacks because you want to continue to field an elite defense because you got Bo Nix there. Bo Nix and the offensive play caller that we have between Sean Payton and Davis Webb, we've proven that we can field a spectacular offense, or at least a serviceable one, without needing to pay an arm and a leg aside from having a solid offensive line. Now, if that's our approach to things, and Sean Payton has shown that over the years he does not necessarily like paying wide receivers like truckloads of money, that's kind of just not his MO, I would see us pulling what we've done with Devon Vele last year with another guy this year, or maybe another two guys this year.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, let's say
show them off and then
show them off and send them off. Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so, like, that to me is the better approach. That to me makes the most sense. Is that we're not going to be able to pay these guys in like the $5 to $7 or $5 to $10 million range for the most part. So if you can't pay the guys, why not show them off and then trade them off? And so that's why I think that a lot of Broncos fanalists and even just analysts that are out there that are getting paid by these big networks, I think they're kind of overlooking the current cap situation. So we have the sports side of it, we have the entertainment side of it, but then we have the business side of it. Right. And I think that a lot of these guys, when they make these comments, are completely overlooking the business side of it. Like, they just ignore it. They're like, what do you mean business? It's like, you're in a salary cap league, my man. You got to like use some common sense. And by when I mean sense, I mean like dollars and cents. Like, you can't keep everybody. So anyways, that's my Denver Broncos take here. I got to show off my my clown crumb, and I do honestly think that the Broncos are going to be pulling what you're going to be doing, Rebel, and Diza, I think you're going to see some stuff on your side as well. I think you're going to see some shifting of like third line to play with the second. You're going to see some shifting of fourth line moving to the thirds, and then some third line moving to the fourths, for example. And I think we're going to see a bit of an ebb and flow in this upcoming preseason game, because at the end of the day, this is where our teams, all of our teams, not just mine, not just Rebels, not just yours, or not even the Chiefs, this is where your true value comes out, where you get those UDFAs and late round draft picks like Red Murdoch, Mr. Irrelevant, who, by the way, was like amazing in that game. Yeah. This is where those true value guys start to show out and make the roster, if we're being honest.
Yeah, Red's a monster. I had that kid in my top. I don't know how I had my top 15. He went UDFA, or last pick, right?
Mr. Irrelevant. Mr. Irrelevant. Yeah.
There's always reasons why these guys fall, but we're not usually privy to it. It's usually medical, some personal stuff, because we know these NFL teams do their due diligence in looking into these guys. Some of the crazy stuff that they ask these players is, in the combine process.
Yeah. So, Rebel, your highlights on your Raiders preseason game. We kind of touched on it a little bit with some of your comments earlier on Cousins versus Mendoza. What are just some other kind of dusting highlights in there, and we can start winding things down
without having to say Mike Washington.
Dude, I'll say Mike Washington. That dude killed it.
I think I'm done then. I felt like, there's a couple positives. Kirk Cousins was 4 for 5 with 50 yards, came down, scored on the opening drive. I thought that was, a positive, but then we turned around and let them come down and score right on us, and then continue to score every time they touch the ball. So, there's some positives. Mendoza's, looking a little bit better. Got the coaching to where they're asking the question, do we need to get this kid more snaps, which I think says a lot, for maybe they're not so stuck in their ways of sitting the kid for, the whole entire season like some people think because of Tom Brady. So there are some positives. The offensive looks, a little bit better. But for me, I just want to, this game against the Houstons and their defense, whether they play their starters or not, I just want to see them look like a football team, right? Some consistency, right? Move the football, make it, it don't have to look easy, but just move the football consistently, no matter who's out there, right? Whether it's Mendoza, whether it's Kirk Cousins, whether it's Aiden O'Connell, who they put with the threes last week and looked like, just garbage. He looked like he had never played football before in his life. I mean, he had balls bouncing off of dudes' faces. First downs right through the hands, and he's just like, 2 seconds to throw the ball over and just, rush after rush. They pretty much blitz 5 or 6 every time he touched the ball. So just more consistency from the offensive line as a whole, a little bit more toughness out there. And then the penalties, you got to clean up the penalties and defense. I know Rob Leonard, it's his first year, hasn't really coached his team. So your team usually takes the identity of your head coach, and I don't really think he knows his identity yet. So it's going to take a little bit of time, to develop that and get these people to get the team to buy in. But Quay Walker looks good out there. Just been a monster and a menace, whether it's practice.
Yeah, he had some plays.
Yeah, he's his instincts to the ball are going to be special. But it doesn't matter if everybody's not doing their 111, you can't be the only one doing your 111, right? So he can't be the only guy out there. I think they'll look I know they'll look like a lot different defense with Max Crosby out there. I mean, that's needless to say, right? So it's a tough task coming up this week, but last week you got to clean up the mistakes. You got to find other receivers. I haven't heard anything from Trey Tucker. Where is Trey Tucker? Like, somebody find Trey Tucker. Can we get a Trey Tucker sighting? Throw the kid the ball. You got the fastest kid on the team, not
As a
touching the
Trey Tucker
football.
fan, don't wrap him in bubble wrap and just open him up in week 1.
Yeah, just Mr. Irrelevant out there. So, yeah, that's what I want to see. I want to see more consistency. I want to see better spacing from the offense on the twos and threes. The offensive calls from Kubiak to me just didn't look like Kubiak. Now I know it's preseason and you're not trying to show, you're not trying to show cards, but when you got receivers running into each other at the line of scrimmage, you're running cross routes and they're both running. The play's over. It's done. Right?
Right.
You got one other receiver that's going out for the ball. The other two just got tied up. The play's done. So you can't have that. You can't have receivers in the same spot running, running the same routes from different sides, ending up in the same spot. So just a lot of things need to be cleaned up. So I want to see, a little bit better, more consistent play on both sides of the ball, especially defense. You need somebody to step up on that defensive line and show that they can stop the run, or at least give them some kind of trouble, or slow them down so the back end can at least get there. It's a lot of problems. And if you watch football for the Raiders last year, then pretty much what it looks like so far. I mean, nothing really looked good other than the opening drive. So yeah,
Rebels. Stupid
see,
question, but did Rob? I totally forgot too. Did he switch you guys to a 3-4 this year?
Yeah, they're in a 3-4 base, which
Okay.
I think they were pretty much in that 3-4 base the whole game against the Cardinals. They weren't showing any sub packages. They were moving guys around, but it was pretty much a 3-4 base. So, just a lot of things need to be cleaned up. From
Which, by the way, sorry, that would have had an impact on what we saw in the field. Because if you didn't switch into those sub packages, those routes that your guys got beat on badly you would have had different personnel on the field.
Yeah.
So I think that's important. I think
and
that's
then
very important.
They played pretty much man. I think the whole game they wanted to put these young corners, to see what they have. And to me, it's kind of seems like this defense relies on them being able to play man. So
complete opposite of what the Cardinals did, by the way.
Yeah, so a lot total opposite. So a lot of cleanup on their end needs to happen. But unfortunately for us, they're going up against the Houston Texans. Their depth is probably better than a lot of our starters. I mean, just to be honest, they're a team that's been building for a long time. They got their quarterback in the draft a couple years ago.
They had some dudes, but like their running back, God, I forget his name. Their backup running back. No, let me see. What is his name?
Keen?
Whittington. Noah Whittington. He looked pretty solid for them against us. You'll probably see him because I think DeMarco I think their coach said, like, if they're not going to run full starters against you guys tomorrow, I think you're going to see Noah Whittington. And then they're really high on their tight end dude from Germany. What the heck's his name? Sorry for interrupting, but I know you're playing these guys. Klein. He looked pretty solid for them as well. And then, their defense, Naquan Jones, why he's out there, I don't know. I guess he's their number 2, which is not a bad number 2. It's pretty solid.
Jack Bess, I think Jack Bess had 3 catches in the last preseason game, all 3 for first downs, 1 for a touchdown. So that's
good.
That's positive to see, him getting separation, but somebody else has to step up. It can't just be, him and Brock, or you got to get more out of the wide receiver group, especially going against this defense. And, if Houston doesn't play their starters and they don't score more than 14 points in this game, bro, it's going to be hard. It's going to be hard this season again.
It's a total unknown what they're going to do, because then if they do play their starters, but at the same time, they just lost Jaden Higgins. I think it looks like they lost him for the year. They're losing some starters. So I think it's just Montgomery and Woody Marks and probably the running back. I think Dalton Schultz. I don't know if he's healthy or whatever, but I don't know. I think you're being a little hard on your team, rightfully so. That's fine. It's your team. I thought the ones looked solid. Now, I was kind of surprised with the defense how like everybody went 4 for 4, 5 for 5 against them. You would have thought that they would have created some stops
Yeah.
or like that's something that I'm like not to be that dickhead division opponent guy, but to be like okay, like you don't want to see that this tomorrow. You want to see some stops. You
Yeah,
want to see some
you
defensive
gotta have
stops.
somebody get that defensive pressure, at least
Yeah,
stop the run. I mean,
right.
they ran all over us. They ran all over us in the practice, Tuesday or yesterday.
And now
So
I'm hearing people say, "Are we sleeping on the Cardinals? Like, are
I
they?"
I think I've been on that boat. I'm a big Mike LaFleur fan. I
Yeah.
wanted Mike LaFleur that he was in the Raiders running, and I was that was my guy. I was like, go
And
get Mike LaFleur out of the
I
Sean McVay tree. Like, how can you go wrong? And it might just be preseason, but it seems
right.
like he's grabbing the bull by the horns. He's not afraid to play the young guys. He's got Carson Beck out there starting in week 1, taking first team reps, and just seems like a totally different coaching style than then Clint Kubiak, who just won a Super Bowl with a great defense.
Also, what you said, like when we were kind of hinting at a complete opposite. I know we're getting on the Cardinals a little bit, but you said that they Rob Leonard like had your guys run man on man, right? He wanted to see probably who can do what. With rightfully
Yeah,
so, that's fine.
yes. Seeing
The
who's out there.
Cardinals were running a college style defense, all bracketing with their secondary and stuff, which I thought was kind of interesting. I was like, whoa, this is and it looked like they ran pretty decently. Like, and I'm saying this because that's who the Chargers are opening up the season with.
Yeah.
We're playing the Cardinals game 1, and looking back weeks ago, everybody's like, oh, you're playing the Cardinals, automatic dub, and now I'm like, damn, dude, I don't know, man. They might
ran
have
the ball
some,
well too.
yeah,
They
look
ran the
well.
ball
They have
too
a good. I like their running back room, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but go to the Raiders though for the Rebel. Like I thought your ones looked solid. Yes, I know you want to see more, and hopefully that's tomorrow night. Trey Tucker, I'm a Trey Tucker fan, so I'm like keep him in bubble wrap. But dude, Mike Washington and Genty together, like okay, that's a nasty duo as well.
Yeah. Promises. We have a couple UDFA's like Cyan Sloan. A couple of these guys that have been stepping up. A couple of our draft picks that have played a little bit better than expected, like Hezekiah Massis, Mike Washington. So the future is bright. The future is bright. The problem is we have 17 games to play this year, and I can't stand to sit here and watch us just get dog walked week in and week out. So if it starts out like that in week 1 or 2, I wouldn't be surprised if a whole lot of changes are made, right? So
well, to be fair, the schedule makers didn't do us any justice, Rebel.
No.
You or me and the Chiefs, and then Richie over there, they've got a 15th or whatever at strength of schedule, so it's like average. So
Yeah,
go figure. They win the division.
No,
Raiders
but the Broncos start off the season
and we were the worst team in the NFL. It just makes no sense to me.
No, but the Broncos' strength of schedule to start off the season is an absolute gauntlet.
Yeah,
it's an absolute gauntlet. So if we're gonna be honest, like those first 6-7 games, I think it is bad. Like it's a hard schedule to start the year, and so the Broncos need to come out if we have any chance of doing anything deep into the playoffs. Need to come out and pretty much start knocking some of these top tier teams out. Actually, get the KO. So that's going to be the important bit. So I think that was an intro. Like I think this is literally one of my favorite times of the year is the preseason football game. I think I said it last show, and I truly mean it because we're seeing the young guys that we've been kind of following and watching in the practices and the training camps and all that stuff, and we're getting to finally see what they look like when they're on field, when we see them in action. Who are you guys playing this week? Broncos are playing the Packers.
And then Rebels, Houston, and then we're okay. Chargers are. God, why did I just blink? Oh, Niners. And then
Yeah, your
Chiefs,
Niners.
I have no clue who the Chiefs are playing.
Hey guys, I gotta jump off here. I'll see you
Yeah,
guys.
That's fine. We're closing out here anyways, so
Sorry,
that
Rebel.
will do it for the Wild Wild West anyways. Rebel, thank you for joining in. You're gonna have some live action kind of comments for us hopefully next week.
Oh
That'd be
yeah,
great.
I will have a book like Kubiak's offense full of notes.
Yeah.
I hope there's some better ones in there than this week. But man,
Yeah.
I wasn't too optimistic. I just had I was hoping it was going to be better, and coming out and scoring 14 points, and then scoring 14 points in a again yesterday or Tuesday. Yeah, yesterday against them, and yeah, something's got to change quick. I know it's the preseason, but the season's getting close, man. The season's getting close. I'm not getting younger, so
100%.
Something has to flip.
Just real quick on some housekeeping stuff here. We are a collaboration of a bunch of channels here. Down below in the description, we have all of our channels listed there. You can go to each and every one of them, depending on, no matter actually which fan you are, Raiders, Chargers, Broncos, or Chiefs. Go down into those channels down below, click on each and every one of them, and click that subscribe button. It helps each of the channels grow, and then helps the algorithm then expand out and reach more football fans, just like the group of us that are here now and have been all show. Also, what will also help everybody involved here, and these are all free and very easy things you can do. There is a thumbs up button that looks kind of like my hand right here at the bottom of each and every video. Click that on each and every one of those channels as well. Again, it helps broaden the reach of the show to get additional folks in here. Again, just like the group of us here that have been here all show. And that's going to do it for the Wild Wild West today on a Wednesday, just ahead of the second preseason game of 2026. We will be back with you guys next week to review the second preseason game, where I hope we all show some progress and start seeing some things that we are more than interested in. So, ladies and gentlemen, where the West Side is the best side. Peace!